Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to What's the Deal, your go-to channel for breaking down the latest trending topics and current events. Today, we're diving into a big one. Donald Trump is set to appear on Joe Rogan's podcast later today. Yes, you heard that right. The former president and the king of long-form conversations are finally teaming up for what's bound to be a fascinating episode. We'll cover everything you need to know in this video. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on social for more videos like this. You'll find links to everything in the description. So let's break down what's going on, when it's happening, why it's happening, and what we can expect from this high-profile chat. First off, let's talk about when this is actually going down. The episode is scheduled to record later today at Rogan's Austin TX studio. If you're a fan of Rogan's podcast, you know that he usually releases episodes in the afternoon. So keep your eyes peeled for that notification if you're subscribed. And if you're not, maybe this is the perfect reason to hit that subscribe button. Now, why is this happening? Well, let's face it. Trump and Rogan are two of the most influential figures in their respective spheres. Trump, with his massive political influence and celebrity status, and Rogan, with his ability to reach millions of listeners through his podcast, are both powerhouses in their own right. This collaboration is a strategic move for both parties. For Trump, it's an opportunity to connect directly with a younger, more diverse audience. Rogan's listeners range from die-hard political junkies to casual fans who might not be as plugged into the political landscape. So, it's a chance for Trump to share his views in a more relaxed setting, away from the often combative atmosphere of traditional news interviews. And let's not forget that Rogan's podcast has a reputation for being a space where guests can speak freely and candidly. This could be a golden opportunity for Trump to discuss his policies, clarify his positions, and maybe even address some of the controversies that have surrounded him over the years. Plus, given the current political climate, there's a lot to talk about. With the 2024 presidential election looming, Trump is likely to share his thoughts on his potential candidacy, his views on his opponents, and what he believes the future holds for the Republican Party. But what else are they likely to discuss? Well, if you're familiar with Rogan's style, you know he loves to dive deep into a variety of topics. So expect the conversation to touch on everything from current events to personal anecdotes. Trump might share some behind-the-scenes stories from his time in office, or even discuss his views on the media and how it has evolved during his presidency. Given Rogan's interest in health and wellness, we might also hear Trump talk about his own health journey, especially considering his age and the scrutiny he's faced in that department. And let's not forget the power of memes and social media. Trump has always been a master of using social media to his advantage, and Rogan often discusses the impact of social media on society. They could delve into how platforms like Twitter and Instagram have changed political discourse and how they can be used to mobilize supporters or spread misinformation. You can bet that Rogan will ask Trump about his infamous Twitter habits and how he feels about the current state of social media regulation. Now, if you're wondering about the potential for fireworks during this conversation, you're not alone. Trump is known for his bold statements and unfiltered opinions, while Rogan isn't afraid to ask tough questions. This could lead to some interesting exchanges, especially if they touch on contentious topics like immigration, gun control, or climate change. Rogan has a reputation for being open-minded, so he might challenge Trump on some of his views, which could lead to a lively debate. Another angle to consider is the audience reaction. Rogan's podcast has a diverse following, and while many of his listeners lean toward libertarian or conservative viewpoints, there are also plenty of liberals and progressives who tune in. This appearance could stir up a lot of discussions and debates online, with people weighing in on everything from Trump's policies to his demeanor. Expect social media to be buzzing with reactions and hot takes as soon as the episode drops. Also, let's talk about the timing of this appearance. With the 2024 election approaching, Trump is likely looking to solidify his base and attract new supporters. Appearing on Rogan's podcast gives him a platform to reach millions of potential voters who may not be as engaged in traditional political discourse. It's a savvy move, especially as he navigates a crowded Republican primary field. And speaking of the Republican primary, you can bet that the conversation will touch on Trump's potential rivals. Names like Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley are already making waves, and Trump might take the opportunity to share his thoughts on their policies and qualifications. It'll be interesting to see if he takes a more aggressive stance or if he opts for a more conciliatory tone. After all, Rogan's audience appreciates authenticity, so it's likely Trump will speak his mind no matter what. Now, let's not forget about the potential for humor and lighthearted moments during the podcast. Rogan's laid-back style often leads to funny anecdotes and candid discussions that aren't strictly political. Trump is known for his sense of humor, and this could be a chance for him to showcase a different side of his personality. Whether it's joking about his hair, sharing funny stories from his time in the White House, or even poking fun at himself, we could see a more relatable side of Trump that some people might not expect. And here's something to think about. This appearance could also shape the narrative around Trump in the media. Depending on how the conversation goes, it could either bolster his image as a straight-talking, relatable guy, or reinforce the negative perceptions that some people have of him. The media's framing of the podcast will be crucial in shaping public opinion, so it'll be interesting to see how different outlets report on it afterward. Now, let's take a moment to talk about the broader implications of this appearance. Trump and Rogan are both polarizing figures, and their collaboration could have a significant impact on the political landscape. If the episode resonates with listeners, it could energize Trump's base and even attract some undecided voters. On the flip side, if the conversation goes poorly, or if Trump makes controversial statements, it could backfire and lead to more criticism. In a world where political discourse often feels divisive and contentious, this podcast could serve as a reminder that conversations can happen in a more relaxed environment. It's a chance for people to engage with ideas and perspectives, even if they don't always agree. And that's something we could all use a little more of these days. As we gear up for this highly anticipated episode, it's worth considering how it fits into the larger narrative of political engagement in the digital age. With social media and podcasts becoming increasingly influential, traditional media outlets are no longer the sole gatekeepers of information. Figures like Trump and Rogan are reshaping how we consume news and engage with politics, and this appearance is just one example of that trend. So what does all this mean for you, the viewer? Well, if you're interested in politics, this is an episode you won't want to miss. It's a chance to hear directly from one of the most controversial figures in modern history in a format that encourages open dialogue. Whether you love him or hate him, there's no denying that Trump has had a significant impact on American politics, and hearing his thoughts in a long-form setting could provide valuable insights. And for those of you who might not be as politically inclined, this episode could still be entertaining. Rogan has a knack for making complex topics accessible, and you might find yourself learning something new, even if you don't agree with everything Trump says. Plus, it's always interesting to see how different personalities interact, and this conversation is sure to be a memorable one. As we wrap up, I want to encourage you all to keep an open mind as you tune into this episode. Regardless of your political beliefs, it's essential to engage with diverse perspectives and understand where people are coming from. Conversations like this one can help bridge gaps and foster understanding, even if we don't always see eye to eye. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button if you found this breakdown helpful. Drop a comment with your thoughts on the topic, and don't forget to subscribe to What's the Deal so you don't miss our next deep dive into the latest trends and stories. See you next time.